Welcome to Social Work Herald. My dear young researchers, considering your request that I must speak on how to do research as well as interrelated concept in social work research, today I have decided to speak on theoretical framework and conceptual framework for a quality research. Most of the time, people ask the question, what is theoretical framework of your research? And many of our students are not in position to explain the two consecutive terms, theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So I thought that in a simple manner, I would like to discuss with you the meaning, significance, position, and difference of theoretical framework and conceptual framework in social science research. Both these frameworks explain the path of a research inquiry. Both these concepts are very significant, very important in presenting a social work research, in conducting a social work research, rather if I say in conceiving social work research to conducting and presenting the social work research. Theoretical framework gives life to a research. You can say it is a lifeline. A research without theoretical framework or conceptual framework makes it difficult for the readers in ascertaining the academic position and underlying concern. So definitely, theoretical framework provides a clear explanation, the viewpoint, or rather you can say a lens through which the research has to be seen. Theoretical research is a blueprint or guidelines, or a guide, or a compass box for your research. It is a framework based on an existing theory in a field of inquiry, and it is related or reflects the hypothesis of a study. It is a blueprint in the sense that it is often taken from a theory and the research is to be made linked with that or based on that. So when you say my theoretical framework is in a human right perspective or a human right theory, you look your research from the human right angle or social justice angle or social justice theory. So that theoretical perspective on which your research is built up. And it is basically that you do not deviate from that guidelines, from that theoretical contours, and keep research into that line. And then your output is considered scholarly and academic. It must be, theoretical framework must be selected after a careful consideration of the purpose of inquiry. What we want to study, why we want to study, and how we want to study. And accordingly, we have to search a theoretical framework. In fact, it provides a structure in shaping what you as a researcher trying to define philosophically, epistemologically, methodology, or analytically. So its position that studies is in a scholar and academic manner, in academic fashion, puts your research. The theoretical research, theoretical framework serves the purpose in focusing, in creating a focus of your research also. When you say that my study is based on such and such theoretical input, it emphasizes or it creates a focus of your research. So foci of research is there, and that is the advantage. Because you can't cover everything on the earth in your research, especially in your PhD dissertation. So theoretical framework provides a common worldview or a lens through which your research work is being seen, and you look at the problem, your analysis of data, and you coming to the findings. Then what we can say in nutshell, theoretical framework must resonate with every aspect of the research problem which is likely to be studied by you. So how you define the problem, what is the survey of your literature or literature survey or review of literature, how the methodology is to be conceived, how the data analysis is to be done, how even data analysis to be presented. So once theoretical framework is clear, it will shape the rest part of the research. So you will be at ease to go ahead. Then you will not go haywire. So that is another purpose of theoretical research. And finally, nobody will say that your research is on your personal instinct or it is subjective. Because you have chosen a lens, and that lens is looking the research problem, and you will be systematically and logically forwarding your research. So theoretical research have many other benefits. And how to select a theoretical framework? This is another big question. For selecting a theoretical framework, your supervisor may help you to understand your research problem, and because it requires a thorough understanding of your problem. Most of the time we write purpose, aim of the study, and then aim is to be divided into the specific objectives of the study. We break the aim of the study in 4 or 5 pieces to create the specific objectives. And many a times these specific objectives are not in consonance with each other. For an example, when we say, the profile of the respondent. Why profile? What purpose it is going to serve? So profile of the respondent in relation to the problem, or linking it, correlation of, socio-demographic or economic characteristic of your respondents vis-a-vis the research problem. I think that part very easily conceived when you conceive the theoretical framework. And the research findings which accrued from your research, they must also corroborate, extend or modify the existing theoretical framework, or it may produce an alternative, or it may reject the present theoretical framework, or it go beyond presenting. So your research is being shaped and guided by that. Even many research questions, whether it's the theory which you have selected and theoretical principles which you have taken, met the objective of a study, whether this theoretical framework, explain the review of literature which you have conducted. So it creates a boundary, or it creates a dotted boundary which you can consider for your research. It can also help you in understanding the limitation. So considering the limitation associated with a particular selected theory, you can also define the limitation of your research. Now, for an example, we say where we have to position this theoretical framework, when we are presenting or drafting it, I think the first chapter is the most appropriate, where you declare that this research study or this problem is being seen from the, this particular theoretical framework, or from this angle or this lens. So the position is that reader, when he start reading your manuscript, he is clear that considering this theory, you have done this research work. And now if I give you a very simple example of the theoretical framework. For example, if suppose trying to understand a study, how cultures affect the attitude of a particular group or a particular caste or particular section of the society. So there are many theories available. The culture theory, human environment relation theory, historical ecological theory, environmental determinants theory. So whatever the basic postulate of theory is, we are considering those postulates in a very simple manner and developing the rest of the proposal on that. Right? Hope that you understood what I am trying to convey you through theoretical framework, but there is another point which is we call the conceptual framework of the study. Now, what is this conceptual framework? Is it same as theoretical framework or it is different? If it is different, in what sense? What difference it is? The conceptual framework is basically a structure which you as a researcher can best explain the natural progression of the phenomena which you are going to study. So explanation how the research problem would be explored is in a conceptual framework. The conceptual framework answers the question like relationship between the main concept of a study, the purpose of a study, the way to study, and the reasoning for. So you can present your conceptual framework in a graphical manner, in a narrative manner, presenting the key variables or constructs, to be studied, or your presumed relationship between them through a visual graph, or making certain relationship, line relationship, or in a cyclic relationship. The conceptual framework is very important in any research study, because it provides you the understanding of going ahead, identifying and constructing your worldview on the phenomena the way you want, because researchers have freedom to do certain things. Theoretical framework may provide you guidance, but how do you go ahead? That is up to you. That the conceptual framework is. And various concepts you have used and you have understood in that sense, where you write is operational definitions, there you can also present it. Conceptual framework are generative framework, and they reflect thinking of the researcher on entire research process. Many a times when we read the manuscripts, we get ups and downs in studying the research. Rather, we get the lost connection. Nowadays, there is a more, if I call the word fashion, to be QQ research, quantitative and qualitative research. But why do you choose the quantitative or qualitative research or mixed research methodology? Whether it suits to your research problem, and you have two sets of data, how do you triangulate those two sets of data? That is conceptually not clear to the researcher. So in most of the dissertation, these two chapters appears two distinct chapters. But if you have conceptualized that why QQ research and how the data will be used in supporting or analyzing or criticizing the quantitative data supported by the qualitative data, or if there is a contrast, why there is a contrast. That kind of analysis in most of the theses are missing. So conceptual framework will help you in understanding and creating the entire research process. Not only this, the conceptual research are at liberty, the researchers are at liberty for the existing framework. They can modify, they can change, they can alter, and they can present the reasons for that. So there is not a rigidity about, once you have conceptualized the research, its presentation is more important in that sequence. That is what we call research in a systematic and logical endeavor. If we go for quick differences between these two concepts, then we can say that theoretical framework provides a general or broader set of ideas within which a study is conducted. It is based on existing theory or theories in the literature which has been taken as the base or as a framework, and this is well developed, designed and accepted. Rather, this theoretical framework offer you a focal point for approaching the unknown phenomena which you are trying to study. While conceptual framework refers specific, or rather a narrower, ideas of a researcher utilized in his or her study. It is based on the concept, which are the main variables or the key concepts in the study, and its design is not well developed, not very well accepted. It is a proposal of the researchers to answer the research problem the way he has conceived or she has conceived. So the conceptual framework that shows logically how the research inquiry is to be undertaken. I hope that you will be able to appreciate the difference between two. Most of the studies which I have seen in social sciences in past few years, they are devoid of, or they are missing, theoretical framework. And sometimes even the third chapter, which normally is a chapter research methodology or research design, that is also very confusing. There is no connection between the research question created, the hypothesis, and the method of data collection. Even sometimes, why statistics to be used and where it to be used is not clear conceptually. Whether we are using statistics to establish the relationship in the data or presenting the consistency of the data, or for the sake of applying certain statistics, that's a big question. So friends, while I appreciate that research is a pious game, it is to be done with full integrity, objectivity, and ethical ways. I understand you will reread more on the theoretical framework and conceptual framework. I am referring here one or two references which may be useful for you. Do write to me what else you want on the research. I will come back with answer to your queries. Thank you. Namaskar. Wishing you a good researcher.